Chances are, if you're watching this video, you probably live in a city. With all the calamity and chaos going on in the world, you need to have an emergency survival kit at your disposal if you ever have to vacate that city for whatever reason. Today, we're going to revisit the basics of building an emergency survival kit bug-out bag with a twist. Let's get to it.
Hey buddy, you got a light? Hey man, you got a light?
So today I'm going to show you what you can put in your bug out bag, or in this case, your bug out roll. Now before I show you the contents of this bug out roll, I want to say we're going to be starting a new series very soon where you send me videos of your individual survival kit, your IFAK, your bug out bag, and I'll give you my take on what might be able to be improved. Maybe you teach me something, maybe I teach you something. We're going to post a link in the description as to where you can send your videos, and we're going to review them on the channel, so stay tuned for that. If you don't know what a bug out roll is, this is an organizer that we developed to help you keep your stuff nice and compartmentalized while in the field, and everything is easily visually identifiable. Honestly, just to have a place to put things that is in arm's reach, that's at eye level, that is so advantageous in those situations to keep yourself organized. You can hang this roll up on a tree. It's very durable. It's made of a very high strength Cordura fabric. It has transparent vinyl windows, and this is actually made of a cold crack and heat resistant material that is very heavy gauge. The zippers on this thing are also built incredibly tough. You can see how fast it zips and unzips, and it even has Velcro attachments. So you can add different compartments, and we have different types of mods with different window arrangements that you can customize to your needs. Now, I recommend the roll and one mod, but you can extend it by adding more mods on the bottom. You can make it as long as you want. However, that just means it's going to be a bulkier roll. Now, I want to show you what we put in this roll just to give you some ideas of what you might need in a survival situation. So we're going to start at the top, and you can arrange this however you want. So in these three compartments here, we have shelter, we have navigation and signaling, and we also have fire starting. So in this compartment, this is a heavy-duty Mylar blanket. So this is different from a standard Mylar blanket in that it's going to be reusable. A lot of those Mylar blankets that you see, those emergency blankets, they're throwaway. They're going to tear very easily. This is made of a more abrasion-resistant fabric, and it's relatively inexpensive. One of the great things about this is that not only is it an emergency blanket, but you can also use it to build shelters because there are grommets on it. Here, we just have a few things. So we have some duct tape. We have a very high decibel whistle. This thing is insanely loud. This is Rescue Me who makes this. So we have a map compass. We have just a Write in the Rain notepad. This can be useful for documenting what's going on. We also have some stormproof matches. So simple stormproof matches will light even when wet. Very important. We have a survival fire striker in there. That's a ferrocerium rod. It's a bit more challenging to light a fire with unless you're very experienced, depending on the nature of the tinder that you have at your disposal. But we also have a fire starter, which is called the fire strip roll. So this is basically just a roll of waxed infused tape with an accelerant in it, and this is going to help you make a fire relatively easy. So that's some essential items that you want. You absolutely need a way to start fires, you need a way to signal, and to navigate, and of course to keep warm. With the bug out roll, you are limited to the size of the item that you can put in. Ideally, you would have a wool blanket. You might even have a larger tarp in order to build shelters. Moving down to the next section, we have our medical section. In here, we just have a very small, very rudimentary Adventure Medical 3 kit. It basically just has bandages. I think it might have a few types of medication in there, like Tylenol and things of that nature. I would recommend that you build your own medical kit. We're just using this as a placeholder for this video. Next, we have an Israeli medical bandage. The reason why I recommend having something like this in there is that these are relatively inexpensive, and if you do get some big puncture wound or some wound where you find yourself bleeding profusely and you need to stop the bleed quick, this or some sort of clotting agent is going to be very important. So I prioritize that. Some people might go a step further and put a tourniquet into their system. Although that, you might want that a bit more accessible outside of the roll itself. Next, we have our bug repellents. So this is just Ben's DEET wipes. Based on my experience in the wilderness, the only thing that actually works against the bugs is chemicals. Chief among them are DEET. Now you can get a spray bottle of DEET, but because this vinyl material, that DEET will actually eat away at vinyl. So if you ever spray DEET on your vinyl siding, you'll notice that it stains, so never spray bug spray by your vinyl siding. The same thing with this, it's corrosive to vinyl, so it'll actually eat through this material. So for that reason, we're putting in the Ben's DEET wipes. You might not think that that's an essential survival item, but that can mean the difference between you being driven mad by the bugs and making some really hasty decisions and not. Next, we have a mega cloth. So this is a compressed towel. You can use this for a variety of different things. It can be used for various hygienic purposes. You can use it as toilet paper. You can use that as a bandage. You can use this for fire starting. You can use this for water filtration. A lot of uses for that. Okay, so this next section is for hunting or fishing. This is the K-Bar bait caster reel. So basically, this is a fishing rod. I mean, a lot of the guys on the show alone, they basically have their fishing line and they use a stick. You can do that. This is just something else for you to consider. I believe this even opens up, so you can actually put your fishing tackle and your line inside it. So it's a pretty cool device. We have our Rule the Wasteland Deluxe Fishing Kit. So this just includes everything you might need just to catch a few fish. It has some spoons, some lures, some hook, line, and sinker, all that good stuff. And right here, this is called a Hero Clip. Now, this actually is very compatible with this bug out roll system because there's 3 loops on the system where you can attach it to a tree. Typically when I hang it up, I just put this over a branch. But another solution is this Hero Clip. Really, it's just a clip that has a carabiner on one side, and then there's a hook that has a bit of a swivel to it. Sometimes you're not gonna be able to find a branch that is oriented in the right direction to hang this thing up, or you might wanna hang it up on something else. So this is just gonna afford you a few more options for how you can hang it up. One thing I would recommend, if you didn't want to use the Hero Clip, just take a nail, a big 3-inch nail or a screw. Screw works too if you have a screwdriver on your multi-tool. You can use that to hang this up on any tree. Simple as that. So on the next level of the kit, we have electronics. One thing missing here is 2-way radios. Depending on your party size, whether or not you're going to need that, you would also have some sort of 2-way communication system in here. Right now, what I have is I have this Luminade, and this one actually has a built-in battery pack. Never underestimate the power of a lantern. Oftentimes, you know, in survival situations, people just think about directional lighting. But area lighting is probably even more important, and it's what you're gonna end up using possibly even more so. So what this thing is this actually expands. There's a built-in battery pack, so you can charge your cell phone. So you do have a USB-C and a USB-A output. This one actually has a directional light. In addition to that, you can go into your internal light, which can be red or white. The reason why you would want a red light is to preserve your night vision, which is going to be important in a survival situation, and if you don't want to be detected. But if you do want to be detected, you switch to white, okay? And then there's different levels. If you want a signal, you can do that. Did I say it has a solar panel on it? So this is one of the main reasons I have this in here, is because you can charge it by day. And this panel that it has on here is quite efficient. Here I have a headlamp. Now this is a BioLite headlamp. In a camping situation or a survival situation, a headlamp is going to be better than a handheld flashlight, because of course that enables you to see hands-free. If you have to hold a flashlight, that's one less hand to do work with. We also have a hand crank shortwave plus weatherband FM AM radio. It's important to have an analog receiver, especially one that does shortwave. Shortwave is a band that's going to allow you to get information from hundreds, if not thousands of miles away, unlike AM and FM. This has a solar panel. It has a crank option, so you can do kinetic charging. It also has an onboard battery, so there's multiple ways to charge this. You can charge it by AC adapter, you can charge it by the solar panel, and you can charge it by the hand crank option. And it also doubles as a flashlight. So the next section is where we get into more of the survival stuff. So of course, you're going to need a knife. The knife is something which is a personal decision. This is just a cheap Haltefors knife. This is a $30 knife. It's perfectly acceptable. It is partial tang, which means that it's not full tang, but it has enough of a tang that it's not going to break on you the first time you use it. This is a good enough, sufficient knife. You're not going to be doing batoning or any sort of aggressive work for that. And for that, we have another tool that we're going to show you in just a moment. This is the Pocket Outdoor Survival Guide. Honestly, there's a lot of different books like this. I just selected this one because it is small enough to fit into the roll. Another good option is the miniaturized version of the SAS Survival Handbook. But honestly, if you have your phone and if you have this, a means to recharge your phone, there's no reason why you couldn't have all of the information that's in here, plus hundreds of gigabytes of reference material and different types of knowledge like Kiwix. You can download all of Wikipedia onto your phone and it only takes a small amount of space. This is kind of just a reliable hard copy in case that phone breaks or you don't have it. You're gonna want a sharpener. Yes, you can sharpen things on stones, but we have enough tools in this kit. We have a knife, we have a saw, and we have a hatchet. And for those things, we're gonna want to be able to sharpen if need be. This is gonna be used for either fishing hooks or saws. And then we have our ceramic, and then I believe this is a fine diamond or a coarse diamond. So it's a simple V sharpener, I believe they're called. So next is cordage. Cordage is very important. You'll notice that a lot of this stuff is high vis. And I've just learned that unless you're in a war, you probably want to be able to find your stuff. So I would actually recommend that if you're not preparing for World War III, try to go high vis. This is as high vis as it gets. Okay, it's orange, plus it has reflective strip inside it, so you can see this stuff from a mile away. So don't use this if you're trying to be discreet. But this survivor cord comes in a variety of different colors, so you can get the military stuff if you want. Now, basically, survivor cord is unique. It's paracord. Paracord has always been the staple of a bug-out bag. 550 paracord is historically what they used in parachutes. Each strand can hold 550 pounds, okay? So this is when your parachute deploys. This is the stuff that attaches the parachute to the person. Now, the unique thing about this is that they've went a step further, and they've actually added multiple different types of strands inside. So in every strand of paracord, there are typically 7 different strands of material that give it its tensile strength. So with survivor cord, they've added a few. They've added some waterproof jute twine. So you're gonna have your fire starter infused in here. We're gonna have some fishing line, and you also have your 30 AWG snare wire. And if you're gonna have paracord in a bug out bag, it might as well be survivor cord. Next is our water and food section. Now this is the most recent Life Straw version, and it's the one I prefer the most, and it's basically just a straw. This is gonna filter out 1,000 gallons of water, but it's not gonna take out viruses. In most cases in North America, you don't have to worry about viruses. Honestly, you're probably gonna be able to drink from 95% of water sources with just this. It's also not gonna take out chemicals, but chemicals typically aren't gonna kill you right away. There is some parts on the end that are a bit more sensitive, which is why they give you a case for it. It's very slim form factor. Here we have 3 different types of food. It's all freeze-dried stuff. There's tons of stuff that you could put in here, stimulant packets, nutrients, vitamins, things like that, but we're not gonna get that elaborate. We're just trying to cover the basics. So we have some freeze-dried cookie bites. Those are just for a quick energy boost. We have our Copia smoothie. All you gotta do with that is just add some cold water to it. This is just some freeze-dried food. This one in particular is one of my favorite. This is Happy Yak Mandarin beef and rice. The next section is still in the realm of cooking. So we have our Firebox stove. I've done extensive reviews on the Firebox stove. This is a stove that will essentially last forever. It doesn't require any gasoline or synthetic fuel source. This thing is going to allow you to have a controlled fire, which is going to be easy to maintain and to use. And it's going to work nearly as good as some of those isobutane stoves. The only difference is, of course, infinite fuel, which is what you want in a survival situation. Now, something that you don't see here is this. This is a single-walled stainless steel bottle. This could fit in here. In fact, I put this in here all the time. But for the sake of making this video, it's a little unsightly and it kind of sticks out. So I didn't put it in there, but you do want something that you can actually cook or boil water on. This is ideal. You can set this right on top of your Firebox stove, or you can put this directly on the coals of a fire. That's the great thing about a single-walled stainless steel. Just make sure you take off the cap on top, okay? Something like this could also be used to just store stuff you might find, berries or whatever the case might be. Now, I don't have that in there, but I do, however, have this water bladder in there. If you come across a water source and you have a long journey and you don't know when the next water source is going to be, you're going to want to be able to store water. So we have a 4-liter water camel bladder. This is just MSR. There's a variety of different ones like this. You can get ones that are more ruggedized. We have ones called the dromedary, which are kind of built to be a little bit tougher, but toughness adds weight. Next up, we have quite possibly a very important tool. If you have another small whittling knife that you would use for a lot of camp tasks, you really don't need that point on the end of the blade. So this is the Silky Nada Outback. I've used these things for years. They're better than a hatchet, and the risk of injury is much lower because with a hatchet, you have to be more precise. Typically the blade on a hatchet is maybe only like that big. This gives you a lot more surface area. This is great for delimbing trees. You can use it as a draw knife to debark trees. You could use it as a weapon, I suppose, if you needed to. It's basically a boreal machete of sorts. So it's a machete with a bit more weight on it. This is something we collaborated with Silky with to develop for survivalists and preppers. This is not what you're going to want to be cutting wood with. You can hack stuff, you can baton some kindling, but that's going to take a lot of energy to hack through a big log. So for that, what you want is a saw. So this is the Gomboy. Now, these are engineered to be very tough and not to break. This is why most of the contestants on the show alone will bring a Silky saw with them. The only downside is that they are difficult to sharpen because it is a Chinese pull saw teeth configuration. That means that it's not going to dull fast at all. I've had one for 10 years that still isn't dull, but it's also going to be very challenging to sharpen. And the blade is nickel plated, so it's extra durable. So even if it bows, it's not going to break. It's just going to bend. So you can get that, or you can get an even bigger version. The Big Boy 2000 version of this will fit in here. And last but not least, we have a pair of gloves. Now, these gloves are the tidy gloves. They're made of, like a synthetic material. They're not going to last the longest, but your hands are going to take a lot of abuse, especially if you're dealing with any sharp, pointy things that can puncture you. Okay, so those are some ideas for what you can keep in your bug out roll. Honestly, there's 1,001 ideas. I've done extensive videos on loading this thing up with 1,000 different items. But today we just wanted to cover the basics. All right, guys, so if you want me to rate your bug out bag and do an independent review of it, make sure you send your videos through the link in the description below. You have to be a subscriber to participate. I'm looking forward to seeing it and hopefully learning something new. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. Canadian Prepper out.
The best way to support this channel is to support yourself by gearing up at CanadianPreparedness.com, where you'll find high-quality survival gear at the best prices, no junk, and no gimmicks. Use discount code PREPPINGGEAR for 10% off. Don't forget, the strong survive, but the prepared thrive. Stay safe.